Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, my co-host, the voice of MMA in Utah, Mr. Zack Partridge. Who's this podcast sponsored by today, Zack?
We're sponsored today. This podcast is sponsored by Contender Clothing. I'm wearing their shirt. Jason should be wearing their underwear, but I don't know because I'm not looking at his underwear. But this podcast, they go check them out. They have a cool line of Cobra Kai gear, Rocky gear. If you're a fighter into MMA, go check out Contender Clothing on their Instagram. They got tons of cool stuff.
Sweet. Back again for Fighter Spotlight number 2 today. This time we're welcoming the main event for the SteelFist December 17th fight. Main event, half of the main event, Mr. Calvin Parrington. Calvin, what's up, man? Glad to have you on today.
Glad to be on the show, guys.
We didn't get you on before the last one because I know it was short notice the last time you're up here. But
2-3 days notice.
It was like 2 days notice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll get to your main event fight. What was it like for you coming up on short notice? Was that the shortest notice fight you'd ever taken? And what was it like coming up to Salt Lake that quick?
Yeah, that was I had a lot of amateur fights, but yeah, that one was was crazy. It was just like hey, we need somebody, you know. I was craving a fight, so I'm like, let's go, you know. But yeah, that was one of the fastest turnaround trips. And then the atmosphere, I loved it, man. I loved it out there. The scenery, from the hotel, everything was pretty nice. All around, it was a pretty cool experience.
So you fought Cole Faust, who's our amateur 155 champ. You guys
Correct.
fought at 170, and it was a catch weight, right? Or not
Correct.
catch weight, but he moved up to 170. So, and you normally had fought at 155, but now you're making your pro debut at welterweight at 170. So where is your weight class that you think you see yourself fighting at as a pro?
I'm gonna be bouncing back from 170 to 55.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the goal is to get back down to 155.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. That's just the weight class I like to. There's a lot of competition at 155.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Cole and that fight?
Man, Cole's pretty solid. He's pretty game. I thought for sure I had it going in. I didn't really train too much for that fight. No excuses, you know, but I felt like my skill sets were more just experience and, you know, just being in the game for so long. But yeah, he caught me. He got me on the rear naked. Freaking hats off to him. You know,
he's a tough kid.
He's a tough kid. I train with him. He's one of my main training partners. I'm one of his bodies that he likes to beat up on.
Correct.
He's pretty good everywhere. But because I train with him every day and stuff. But man, I think by far you were the guy that gave him his toughest fight so far.
Yeah.
And you guys put on a really good fight, and that was and Jason and I were lucky enough to be cage side commentating that fight.
Awesome.
And that was so fun to be a part of. You guys put on a really good fight for that show.
Thank you. Yeah, I always try to come and entertain. I'm not there just to, you know, to put a beating on. I'm there to freaking get the crowd into it. You know, I love hearing the crowd.
So
did you know going into that fight that you were going to want to do a quick turnaround right after either way?
I knew I needed that because I've been so focused with school and then, you know, dealing with family. And then I didn't have a fight for within like a year. And then MMA wise, I didn't fight MMA till last bout before that was 2017.
Right.
Yeah.
I just stuck pretty much to Muay Thai to get a couple fights, get those knocked out the way. And then injuries set me back, and then, you know, school, the pandemic. And so once I got the call for that, I'm like, oh man, this is perfect time. And let's go, let's get the show going. And then it helped me reset, you know, get focused on what I want to do and where I want to be. And so, man, yeah, it was pretty much a blessing. It sucks I didn't get, you know, have the tank I wanted to in that last bout, but, you know, things happen and we're supposed to go that way. But yeah, I'm used to fighting, you know, back to back. That's how I like it. I stay in shape that way. I hate, you know, having to wait 3 months, 2 months, because then you're eating bad again. Your bad habits come back.
Yeah.
I freaking I would rather stay in shape, knock some guys out, get back in there a month or two from now.
Well, and so I always look at your amateur, and we had Mr. Scott Buller, the head of the Utah Athletic Commission, on our earlier podcast. Amateurs aren't about building records; it's about learning and challenging
Correct.
yourself and asking for the hardest fights and to get yourself ready to become a pro fighter. And
Exactly.
one thing that I noticed about you is you don't have the sexiest amateur record in the world,
Correct.
but the one thing that is undoubtedly, if you're willing to fight a guy like Cole Faust or whoever else on short notice, to me, that's a notch that says you're pretty much there to be in a pro. Cause that's, once you become a pro, it's fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, pretty much. Right.
Yeah.
Pick and choose fights. So I like when I look at fighters that are going pro, I don't necessarily look as much at the record as, experience and who they were fighting. I'd rather, I would say a guy like you, 13 amateur fights, your record might only been 7-6, I think, as an amateur.
Correct.
But you were fighting tough guys, one, but then two, it's like, who cares what your record was an amateur? You're 0-0 now. You go out and get a win on, here next weekend, and you're 1-0, and it's all good, right?
Exactly. Starting all over.
So what do you know about your opponent next weekend? Nino Janau.
I don't know too much about him. I try to look up some footage. He's pretty ghost. I couldn't find too much. I seen him a little clip of him on the podcast. But that was it. I did look him up on Tapology and seen that he's 4-1 or 5-1, and he won those fights by TKO or KO. So he's pretty gamed. I've seen a couple pictures, and he looked like he went in for a takedown on one of the guys. So I'm not sure if he's a striker or a ground guy or what. But I'm coming in there. I'm gonna find out.
Yeah, well, we don't really know that much about him. We've seen him fight one time here in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Not this year. We saw him fight.
I thought in July we were on the same card in July.
Yeah,
correct.
But
that was the other thing. I seen that he had a lot of fights, but he only fought like 2 people that had
fights.
That had some fights. Besides that, it's like.
And he's been around. He's one of those guys too, though. He's been around a long time, and I think he fought a little bit before like everything was, everything's recorded now, right? Documented, pathology, and all that. I think he had some fights in there before all that stuff, but because I know he's somebody that's been around the scene for a while, but he kept quiet and to himself, and he doesn't do any social media or anything too. So
I noticed that. But I fought a couple guys where I didn't know anything about them. I couldn't find any fights, and they were pretty game. They were pretty experienced, but
do you like that? Do you like going into fights, not having film and stuff on them, or would you prefer to have a little bit? Or what's
honestly,
your
to me, it doesn't matter. I've been fighting for about 25 years now. I really don't care who my opponent is. If they're good at the ground, I'm gonna respect it. But I'm always challenge myself. I almost feel like I can outbeat them. I'll strike them, whatever. But I'll adapt to whatever he throws at me, and then put him in the fire, put the pressure on him, and then his game plan. We'll see how it sticks.
This was one fight when they announced the card. Both Zack and I were both like, we both think it's a great matchup. I mean, we've seen both you guys fight. Size wise, I'd say you guys match up really well size wise. I think it's a phenomenal fight. Like I'm obviously looking at your Tapology record. I know what you can do, even though you lost to Cole. Stepping in on 2 days' notice like that, I take that with a grain of salt coming into this fight, because I think we're going to see a different fighter. I think those in attendance will definitely see a different fighter from what they saw in your last fight here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, exactly. You guys will be able to see technique this time. I won't be sitting there trying to look for that punch.
Well, it's got to be. I mean, it's got to be a little nerve wracking. You come in on 2 days notice. You don't know nothing about the kid, obviously he's undefeated and you're like, well, what the hell is this kid going to do? You know what I mean? It's just
correct.
But yeah, man, we're stoked for this fight.
Yeah. As soon as they announced it, okay.
It's going to be a banger.
It's going to be a banger. Yeah.
It's going to be a banger.
Yeah.
So you said you were you said your school and training recently.
Correct.
What are you going to school for?
Aviation maintenance.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Correct.
Were you in the military?
No. I kind of got into kind of just dawned on me. I was sitting there like the pandemic was going on. I'm like, the school's open. What the heck?
Yeah.
Perfect timing. I'm not working. There's nothing going on. I'll enroll into school, and then everything was done, on over the internet. So I'll be at home on Teams, freaking doing schoolwork for 6 hours, and then I got into it during the pandemic. I'm like, what can I do? I'm tired of being in the house. I'm bored.
Yeah.
Just hanging out with my son all the time. And so, I went down and checked out the school. They talked to me, showed me around in the hangar. And I'm like, I want to work on some planes.
Right. Yeah. Too, right?
Yeah. And the money as well. Yeah. I was like, what's the hourly?
Yeah.
Like, depends on where you want to live. I'm like, throw a number, like 45 an hour. I'm like, oh, yeah.
You're
Let's
like,
go.
yeah, sign me up all day long, baby.
Yeah. I'm like, 22 months. All right, sacrifice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, dirty little secret. Fighting doesn't pay a whole lot of bills, especially when you're just getting started and
Exactly.
as a pro. Is your goal to get to the highest level of MMA and try to get to the UFC or a big promotion, or you just do this for fun, kind of?
Correct. Actually, I've been doing this since I was 5. I started with Hawaiian Kempo. My dad was my first instructor. He was a 5th-degree black belt in Hawaiian Kempo. And then we moved to Vegas, and I ended up wrestling. And from there, I was a trouble kid. Got into trouble all the time. Played football in high school. Then got in trouble. Cops came and arrested me and got kicked off the football team. And my one of my friends from middle school was like, "Hey, my dad's a wrestling coach." I'm like, "Oh, sweet. Let's go. Let me try this out. Hopefully I don't get in trouble." And so, I wrestled, didn't get in trouble, and I just kept on progressing. And by the time I was a junior, I was a national qualifier, senior year national qualifier. Should have been 2-time state champ, but injuries happened, and then I got in trouble my senior year, set me back. I had a bunch of scholarships, but mentally I was, nowhere near ready.
Yeah. No,
So,
I get that. I get that.
Had to think about that, and I didn't want to, sit there and be in debt and freaking not have a degree or anything,
Yeah.
So I fell back. I stopped training and everything, and then I ended up getting picked up again by another fight team, and started training again, goofing around in the streets, being stupid, going through the the growing pains.
Yeah.
But eventually it's funny. I went home and I prayed, and I didn't pray in years, and I went home and prayed and was like, if I'm here, man, give me a sign, because I'm tired of struggling, and it was like a direct message, like, boom, Calvin, what are you doing? You're hanging out with distractions. You got to focus on yourself. Take a couple steps back.
Yeah.
What makes you happy? Training. What was the best time in your life? Wrestling. So why aren't you training? That's what keeps you. That's going to keep you going. And then so I had to sit there and I thought, and I pushed all my friends, stop hanging out with everybody, and just put everything into training.
Good for you.
And So the goal is always to be a UFC fighter, even Bellator. But ever since I was about like 13, 14, that was the goal. But going through growing pains and everything, it kind of had a couple setbacks. But this is a blessing right now, so I'm gonna use it, man. It's a huge door and a huge opportunity.
I like it.
Yeah, the goal is Bellator, UFC.
Nice.
I trained with Extreme Couture out here in Vegas for a while. Trained with a lot of the top athletes there. A bunch of guys on the UFC roster there.
Yeah.
Got some good training in with Dennis. Man, yeah. So I know where I could be. It's just a matter of, time getting there, having these fights in. Yep.
Now, do you currently train at Extreme Couture?
No, I'm currently with Teddy, and we train a couple places. We train at I'll go to Freestyle MMA. We'll go there. One Kick Nicks, and also Fight Capital.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah. So, Calvin, how do you see this fight playing out on December 17th?
I plan on going on there, filling him out, seeing what he has, finding out what his best shots are, what he likes to do, picking out his flaws, and going from there, attacking him, striking him. If he wants to go to the ground, look for a submission, finish him. The job is to finish this guy.
I like it.
I know he's going in there. He wants to get a finish. He wants to take my head off. We're going to war. We're going to war.
So expect fireworks. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh,
like it. Hell yeah. Any more questions for you?
That's all.
Do you have any sponsors you want to give a shout out to before we let you get out of here?
Red Label, Eno Subs, and just a huge thank you to my coach Teddy, the guys at One Kick Nicks, Fight Capital, and Freestyle MMA.
Roger that. Calvin, we'll see you there. Hey, everybody, December 17th. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, reach out to these fighters, support your local MMA fighters, support MMA fighters, amateur fighters all around, pro fighters. Get your tickets, come watch it. I know they'll have a pay-per-view link as well to watch it. So everybody down in Vegas, you're in Vegas, right, Calvin?
Correct.
All right. Yeah. Everybody down in Vegas, hit the link. You'll be able to watch Calvin throw down at the main event, December 17th. Boom. Appreciate it, Calvin. Thank you for your time, sir.
Sir, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Calvin.
You'll have a nice one.